Okay, so Kapton tape. Kapton tape is a medium between the printer surface and your part that will help adhere that part to the surface. Why you want your part to be adhered to the surface is so that the corners don't start coming up, that basically your layers don't change during the print, and it will keep your print where it's supposed to be. The head of the printer has no idea where your print is. It's just taking the program out of Cura and it's running those toolpaths, that the G code that was generated off of a program. Okay, so if your part starts moving, it's not going to know that. It's just going to lay down that filament just like it would if the part was where it's supposed to be. So this is what helps your part stay in place. Sometimes you can get away with using this more than one time if you're really careful when you peel off your part. If you see any cracks or any splits or tears in the Kapton tape, it might be a good idea to go ahead and change it. The reason why I say that is whenever you start to peel it up off of the Kapton tape, your part, once it's printed off, you might end up tearing off some of the Kapton tape and it'll be stuck to your part, and that's not going to be good. Also, it's just good practice to have a good fresh bed of Kapton tape. So taking off the Kapton tape isn't that difficult. Basically, you just can get an edge of the Kapton tape and start pulling it off. It'll just come off just like masking tape or anything like that. So this is all it is. So you can go ahead and discard that. Now, a couple things you might want is, one, you want the Kapton tape. Number two, a bottle of water makes this a lot easier. This is adhesive, has a layer of adhesive on the back of the tape, so whenever you start to lay it down onto this metallic bed, you won't end up having bubbles that you need to squeegee out. So a bottle of water makes that a lot easier. Also, a razor blade or a knife of some sort will help cut that edge to make it real nice and clean. Another thing you might want is a card. So a card will help squeegee this surface nice and smooth so that whenever you print it, you don't have the bubbles that are changing your X. It changes your Z. If your Z changes, all the filament that goes on it is going to translate into that also. So you'll have high and low spots on your part, which you don't want. Also, you might have an adhesive problem as well. So the first thing you'll want to do is first make sure that your printer head is well out of the way and covered from when you start to spray it on here. All you need is a really, really light layer of water onto this printer surface. Then you'll want to take your Kapton tape and roll it out and try not to rip it like I just did. Alright. Try to get it, there we go. So roll out your Kapton tape until you have more than enough to lay down on this. Now this stuff is not cheap, so be kind of sparing with it. I did a bad job of tearing this off to begin with, but it's a lot easier with two people. So if you have somebody that can help you do it that way, it's a lot easier. Okay, so put your Kapton tape down onto the surface and try to get it center onto the printer bed also. It will help you in the end whenever you start to print, because you're going to want to print onto this tape. So if any of your print ends up off of the tape, then you're going to end up having a bad print. Take your razor blade, make a little cut through here. Don't press hard, there's no need to, especially whenever you're dealing with a razor blade. Be careful not to cut yourself. Also, take your razor blade and run it down the other side as well. Just right there on the edge. It makes it really easy. At this point, you can kind of peel it up. You got a rough shape, at least. That's good. Now, start at the middle, just like you would putting on, I don't know if you've done window tint or anything like that, or like a sticker, like you're putting a sticker on your car. or a decal or something, you want to do it the same way, basically, is what you're doing. Okay, so, and like I said, this water really makes it a whole lot easier to do. You'll be surprised. Just don't get too crazy with the water. There are electronics underneath this printer bed to heat it up, and if you put too much water in there, it starts to run down in there, you will end up buying the school a new printer, and nobody wants to have to do that. They're nice enough to let us use this, so let's be good to it and treat it with respect. Okay, so cut the last little bit off, and there you go. Now all you want to do is take you a rag, wipe it up, careful not to spill any on the edges, and that's that. You got a nice clean bed to print off of. It's not completely square, but this is a small part. Also take that into consideration, the size of your part.